political analyst J.C. Polanco, who's assistant professor at the University of Mount St. Vincent, and political consultant O'Brien Murray. OBJC, just so everybody knows what that is.
Alphabet soup.
So let's start by talking about the mayor's race. Andrew Cuomo running for mayor. Good idea, bad idea? How's it going to play out?
His nomination to lose from the polls, right? He's leading everyone else by double digits. So I think it's a win-win for him. He gets to throw his hat back in the ring, try to come back into public service, have an opportunity to wash his hands of any dirt from prior years ago, and it may give him the restart that he so desperately needs in political life.
He's got almost a 2-to-1 lead in the polling as of now. More polling coming out next week, I fully expect. It's going to be an amazing race to see if anybody can catch up with him. He's got the name ID, but anybody who wants to come after him on a negative basis is going to be spending money against the next mayor of New York, and there's not a lot of money on that right now.
But see, here's the question. We know, and he obviously knows, that there are people who are not happy with him. People in the nursing home who lost loved ones and who died in nursing homes during COVID, and the women who were involved in the charges of sexual harassment. He's obviously got a strategy for dealing with it, but how much damage can these people do to him and to his campaign?
They can do some very significant damage, but you can't beat somebody with nobody. And what are the issues in this race going to be? He's going to run on being a governor that knows what New York City needs and how to work with Albany. That is unprecedented. In the past, you've always had the mayor's staff and the governor's staff.
Wait a second. Working with Albany. Let's parse that out a little bit, because he has to work with Kathy Hochul.
For 1 year, then she's out.
Well, we don't know that.
She's gone. She is so inept today as governor. It is amazing.
Well, he's going to have to answer those questions, right? There's a campaign. He's going to have to answer the questions on COVID-19, the retirement homes. He's going to have to answer on the sexual harassment claims. I'm sure his team is prepared to do it. But I got to tell you something. President Trump has rewritten the political book. What once would absolutely destroy someone's candidacy before they announced is no longer going to destroy your candidacy. I think a lot of New Yorkers have become desensitized to negative campaigning, and they may give him the shot to explain himself. Because remember, you do have a guy in the White House sitting right there who has more skeletons in his closet than people in the cemetery up in the Bronx.
Let's look at the reality.
So that's the reality.
But the word I would use is expectations. People know what to expect from Andrew Cuomo. All these issues you're talking about are extremely important and very sad for everyone that went through them. But they are very small on the radar of the voters. What the voters know is day in and day out during COVID, there was one person on TV in New York that everybody watched from home every morning. It was The Apprentice on steroids.
Right.
And that's what Andrew Cuomo has. And they had them they had Andrew Cuomo in their house every day during COVID when they were stuck. So it was their lifeline to what was going on in the state, into the city, and that's what they're going to vote for.
Marsha, he has universal name ID. That's for sure. And another thing, look, he's a centrist, so he shares a lot of the same voters than the current mayor currently has. We know that.
Is that a plus or a minus?
That's a plus, especially with ranked choice voting. But get a load of this. Progressives in New York City. He was the governor that signed the law that made marriage equality a reality in New York. He gave the progressives everything that they wanted. No. But I'm talking about progressives who want to attack him. He'll be able to look at them and go, you want to look at every single criminal justice piece that you wanted? I signed those. You want to talk about marriage equality? I signed that. So progressives have their candidate. At the end of the day, they can't attack him on the issues, and he'll have the centrist voters.
He gave them bail reform. He gave them congestion pricing. He gave them same-sex marriage.
People are not going to be happy about congestion. And by the way, he changed his position.
And who's not going to be happy on them? Who's not going to be happy?
Some people don't like congestion
Right.
pricing. You may remember that.
But no, I disagree with that. I sat here and said it shouldn't be there. But the progressives in a Democratic primary are going to care that he gave it to them. Even though he's against it today, he was for it before. The messages in this race are going to be straightforward. They have three messages to give: a cleaner city, a safer city, and a city that gets back in its finances.
I want to tell you something. So the other day I had a conversation with Gail Brewer, former Manhattan borough president, now a city councilwoman. She was a city councilor before that. She's been a long history in politics on the Upper West Side. And she said to me, you know what's really amazing? I live on the Upper West Side, which is the bastion of progressive politics in New York City. And she said, everybody on the Upper West Side wants Cuomo to be the mayor because they think he can fix things.
Right, that's a projection he gives off. He gives off the guy, I'm from the outer boroughs, I go toe-to-toe with the president, I'm your guy.
But that's the thing. Will he go toe-to-toe?
I think he can absolutely. We've seen him go toe-to-toe before with President Trump. We've seen, this is not new. We've seen him. And I think New Yorkers want to see that, and so do the Democrats. They want to have a tough guy go up against the president. You're lacking that throughout
what this Democratic Party needs, though, and the question is what Andrew Cuomo can do in a primary versus as mayor. We need someone to work with Washington. Joe Biden did nothing for this city when Eric Adams went there and asked for it and begged for it, and he turns back. And I sat here on the set and I said immigration was going to be a problem. 2 years ago, I said the ad I would run is, look what Joe Biden did to New York. He'll do the same thing to you out where you are across the country. That is going to be the question. What mayor, to be successful after this election, is going to work with Washington, and it happens to be Donald Trump as president? You want to fight him, you fight him, and you're not getting anything
we're not talking
back.
about fighting for the sake of fighting. We're talking about standing up to him when you need to stand up to him. And the truth is that that's one of the issues that the current mayor has.
See,
The current mayor can't do that, Marsha.
The Democrats, to this point, I think, haven't figured out a way to deal with Donald Trump.
And they won't. They won't because they can't read the room.
But can Andrew Cuomo figure out what the secret sauce is for dealing with him when he has to deal with him and fighting him when he has to?
But he's done that before. He did that before. That's what's important.
That's not the guy we need for New York.
No,
The guy,
when he needs to fight, Obi.
JC, we need the person who's going to achieve things for New York, not just pick fights.
Of course not.
Pick the fights you can win and not go after them just for tit for tat. Right now, the Democratic Party has no national leader. They have no national voice or message. Orange man bad is not the message. And what they're doing right now is they cannot fight against these spending cuts. The previous president, under the Democratic leadership, had 0 cuts.
So let me ask you this question. Should Andrew Cuomo become the mayor of the city of New York, would he become, by default, the spokesperson for the Democratic Party nationally?
I think so, Marsha.
Become a national figure just because it seems like there's not a lot of opposing Trump coming out of Washington from the Democrats in Washington these days.
By default, he will become the leader of the party nationally. There's no question. I think Hakeem Jeffries continues to be the leader of the party nationally, but I think with a Mayor Cuomo as leading the city, he by default becomes a leading figure.
I agree with that.
I think he has the opportunity to. I think he's better off giving it to Jeffries and let Representative Jeffries become the next majority leader for New York, because Chuck Schumer is not going to be anywhere near leader for at least 4 years at this point. Andrew Cuomo can have that with the pulpit he has in New York, but he's better off not fighting Washington. He's better off fighting for New York. That's going to be the question.
And I wonder, Marsha, we're talking about Cuomo. There's a lot of other candidates running. What happens after he announces?
That's the next question. So Adrian Adams, the council speaker, is preparing to get into the race. How does that change the calculus of the campaign?
Well, it could. If the black Democrats in New York City coalesce behind the speaker and mobilize for her and provide her with the infrastructure that you need in order to win a primary, this gets very interesting because remember, Speaker Adams and former Governor Cuomo share a lot of the same base.
Yes, so does she take away from him and prevent him from winning?
She absolutely can take some away from her. And I think it's important to note that 3/4 of all Democrats that support Adams would support Cuomo in the ranked choice. So it's very similar.
And therefore, with Speaker Adams getting the race, wrong name. The voters will have a tough time differentiating between Adams and Adams. I'm telling you right now.
So does she take votes away from Andrew Cuomo?
No.
Really?
No.
I don't see how she doesn't. I mean, she's going to be a formidable candidate if she announces. I know it's tough with just a little bit of time left, but she's the speaker of the city council. She'll have a lot of support. We've seen Attorney General James come out to support. She's going to have a lot of support across the city. To just immediately say she has no shot, I think that's crazy.
I do not see a way where she's a path to victory whatsoever in this. And another box of cigars?
No, nothing. No box of cigars.
She doesn't have a path. She has the wrong last name. She's starting too late. Andrew Cuomo is way out in front of any of this kind of stuff. And what's the history of the Speaker of the City Council doing anything for higher office? In the middle of this, she has to lead New York through a budget negotiation with Mayor Adams.
It's tough.
What's more important?
It's tough.
About 15 seconds. Go ahead.
I think it's very tough for the speaker to have a shot at winning, but she will be a formidable candidate for me.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York, and it'll be real interesting.